Hello everybody and welcome to Sin City Living. My name is Jason. I'll be bringing you today's episode. As always, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We have content coming out for you guys every single day. You don't want to miss a thing. Our usual shout out of appreciation to our patrons. Please check the description of the video down below if you would like more information about that. We appreciate everybody that's been showing up to our live chats on Thursdays at 6 o'clock and likely on Tuesdays. I'll do my best to make that one. And leading up to our live streams that we hope to be able to do in the next month or two. Going to be a craps tournament. Also, we really appreciate everybody that has tipped us during these live chats. We're keeping track of all this. Everybody's going to have an opportunity to participate in our craps tournament, our live stream craps tournaments. But we're probably going to start off by inviting those that have helped us out the most here at the very beginning of it. But we do appreciate every single one of you guys. And like I said, everybody's going to have an opportunity to participate in this. So I'm going to jump into today's video. And what are we covering for today? Well, this is kind of a redo. We've had a lot of questions about this lately in comments and in emails. So while we have shot a video about this in the past, it was a while ago and it can kind of get buried in the older videos. So I'm going to go over it again. And that's the come bet versus the place bet payouts. And why you may want to do one over the other. I'm going to get rid of the puck right now because I'm not worried about what point is marked. I'm just worried about come bets and place bets. So first off, you do have the argument. I've had somebody make the argument to me that the come bet is superior because you are getting your bet back. Well, there's a yes and no to that, because if you're doing a continuous come bet, let's say you travel to the 8 and you go ahead and do, I don't know, let's say 20 odds, right? And then you do another come bet. So what they are saying is that is superior. They have $30 in action on the 8. So we're going to have an equivalent amount as a place bet, because we need to compare these with the same dollar amount at risk. We don't want to compare them with different dollar amounts at risk. We're going to compare them with the same dollar amount at risk. Okay. So let's look at it. Okay. So the first time at 8 rolls, this player comes on in. Well, this player collects $35. Now, this player now puts their $20 in odds and does another come bet. So, if another 8 rolls, this player would collect another $35. This player would collect $34. So they're collecting less. Okay, and they would be an off and on situation because the come bet is still there. In order to get paid on a come bet, it has to hit twice. Now, if you're doing continuous come bets, then it's always an off and on situation, and your come bet and odds will not be coming down. If you're doing a molly, a 1 point, 2 point, or 3 point molly, then yes, there is the possibility that your come bet and your odds will come down. So you technically will have more money in your bankroll. However, by doing a 1, 2, or 3 point molly system, you are at a much higher risk of nothing happening. You require your number to roll twice in order to get paid. Statistically, numbers are not going to roll twice in the majority of the rolls. Most rolls are going to be 6 rolls or less because you have a 1 in 6 chance of a 7 rolling. And none of these numbers have a statistical likelihood of rolling twice in the first 6 rolls. It does happen, of course. It certainly can happen. But if you have that, that very first initial one, sure, you get paid your 34, plus you get your 30 back. So you would have made 34 in profit, versus if a 7 were to come here, you would have made $5 in profit because you only would have collected once and lost it. But that's assuming that you were doing a molly, and that's assuming that you were only on a couple of points. If you were not on a couple of points, but if you're doing a continuous come bet, then if it hits twice and then you get a 7 out, you're going to collect 10 here, plus you have your 34 here, so you will have collected $44 and you will have lost 30. Whereas this player will have collected $70 and lost 30. So it's still going to be a superior bet. Yes, there are certain situations where the come bet is going to be a superior bet. But those situations are few and far between. It's like focusing on one possibility. It's like focusing, if you're a chess player, it's like focusing on fool's mate instead of the other, 10,000 different ways that the chess match can go. You have to look at all the possibilities and what is going to be favorable in the most situations. In the most situations, come bets are going to be superior than, or place bets are going to be superior to come bets. In most situations, there are situations where the come bet will not be will be superior, but again, few and far between. Now, if we're looking at similar dollar amounts bet, let's look at come bets versus place bets, and let's look at where do they start becoming worth it. So we're going to look at it from 3 different possibilities. And these 3 possibilities are going to be your strip 3, 4, 5 odds. All right, and we'll do that on the first one. So if we're looking at 3 times odds on the 4 and 10, we're looking at 4 times odds on the 5 and 9, and we're looking at 5 times odds on the 6 or 8. Now, for the other one, we're going to look at 10 times odds. So we're going to look at 10 times all the way across. Then we're going to look at 20 times odds. So let's look at how these pay. So for every single one of these numbers, when you're on 3, 4, 5 odds, it's always going to pay 7 times your flat bet. So every single one of these is going to pay $70. Now, right here, we have $10 flat bet plus 30 in odds. So we have $40 total at risk. What if we had a $40 place bet? How much would that pay? That would pay $78. $78 versus 70. Let's look at the 5 and 9. Again, we're looking at $70 in payout right here. Now this time we have $50 in action. Guess what? Pays $70. What about the 6 and 8? Well, again, pays $70. We have 60 in action. Again, it pays $70. So when you're at 3, 4 times odds, they're really, really close. They're very close. On the 5, the 6, the 8, and the 9, place bets and come bets pay the same. On the 4 and 10, place bets pay better. So when you look at the totality of all the numbers, place bets are going to make you more money. On the inside numbers, they're going to make the same. You don't lose anything either way, except that the place bet will have paid you twice when the come bet pays you the first time. So that's a big contributing factor in why you may want to do the place bets. It's the same amount of money at risk. You're going to make the same on the inside numbers. You're going to make more on the outside numbers. And you need less hits in order to get paid. Same number of rolls that would pay out on a come bet would pay a place bet twice. So it would pay you double. Now, what about on 10 times odds? 10 times odds is where it starts to favor the come bet player. For this bet right here, that is going to pay $210 as a come bet. Now they have $110 at risk on the bet. So if this were a place bet, what would it pay? Well, now at a $110 place bet, it can go one of 2 ways. You're either looking at a $5 vig or you're looking at a $6 vig. If it's a $5 vig, this is going to pay $215. So it actually does still pay better. As a $6 vig, it's going to pay $214. So it's still going to pay a little bit better. Now let's look at the 5 and 9. As a come bet, that's going to pay you $160. $160, okay? Because you get paid $150 for your odds and then $10 for your flat bet. Now if it was a $110 place bet, what would it pay? Well, 100 pays you 140, and $10 pays you a whopping 14. So this would actually pay you 154. So once you get to the inside numbers, the place bets start paying you less. When you're at 10 times odds, the place bets start paying you less on the inside numbers. The outside numbers, they still pay you more. But now that we're looking at more numbers that have a higher probability of rolling as paying you better, things start to flip. Let's look down here at this one. Okay. This 100 pays you 120 plus 10. So this would pay you $130 as a come bet. Okay? Pay you $130 as a come bet. What would it pay as a place bet? Well, 90 pays 105, and then the remaining 20 pays you 23. So this would pay you $128. Look at that. Still paying you less than the come bet. So once you get to the 10 times odds, the inside numbers pay you more than the come bet will. If you're doing max odds. If. You have to be doing max odds, otherwise it's not going to work. But now these inside numbers pay you more, whereas the outside numbers will still pay you more on a place bet by $4 to $5. But because these inside numbers have a higher probability of rolling, and now you have 4 of your 6 numbers that pay you better, it's definitely starting to flip, where now the come bet does become superior, although I still would not do it as a come bet. If it were me, I would do it. If I'm going to play it with max odds and have this much at risk, over $100 at risk per number, I'm probably going to do them put bets, because I prefer a place bet getting paid every time it rolls, not having to roll twice. So I would probably do it as a put bet. So you guys can imagine how 20 times odds is going to work. As a come bet, that right there is going to pay $310. I'm sorry, $410. Boy, that was some lovely math I just did right there. It's going to pay you $410, right? Because you have $100 in odds that pays you double, of course. Then you have a $10 flat bet. So this would pay you as a come bet $410. So what would $210 place bet pay you? Well, once again, we're looking at, depending on the house, it's either going to be a $10 or an $11 vig. Let's assume it's a $10 vig. Let's assume they give you that other $10 as a freebie. Okay, so what would $210 pay you as a place bet? Well, it would pay you $430. It's either going to pay you $429 or $430. So the place bets still remain better for you, even on 20 times odds on the 4 and 10. It's very, very difficult for a come bet to have enough odds to overcome the fact that a flat bet pays you even money. Because once you get into this territory, the flat bets as place bets, they all become buys, which means that they're going to pay you just like odds. They're going to pay you almost double minus a small little vig. They're going to pay you double minus a small vig. So they're going to pay you almost double. So it's really hard for the odds to be high enough to overcome the fact that your flat bet is getting paid even money. But again, we start looking at these inside numbers. These inside numbers are where things really start to change. This 200 right here in odds pays you $300 plus your 10. So this would pay you $310 as a come bet with max odds on a 20 times table at a $10 flat bet. So what does $210 pay as a place bet? Well, 200 pays you $280 and 10 pays you a whopping $14. So this would actually pay you $294. $310 versus $294. These numbers, the 5 and 9, are definitely getting superior at this point. What about the 6 and 8? The 6 and 8, well, this 200 is going to pay you $240 plus 10. So it's going to pay you $250. Okay? What does 210 pay you as a place bet? $245. So once you hit the 10 times odds, all your inside numbers start paying better as come bets than they would as place bets for the equivalent amount, for the same amount being bet. But if you're at 3, 4, 5 odds or worse, your come bets and your place bets are going to pay the same, except for the 4 and 10, where the place bets are going to pay better. So if you have a choice between everything paying even and one particular bet paying better, of course you're going to go with the ones that pay better. Plus, you factor in the fact that, again, the number has to hit twice in order for a come bet to win. And if you're doing continuous come bets, then the amount that you have at risk is going to be equivalent to your place bets. So I hope you guys find this interesting. And I hope this answers the question that the person presented to us. And I do apologize for any comments that I may have missed and been unable to respond to. We just have so many comments coming in that it's difficult to keep track of all of them. Thank you guys very much for watching. We appreciate every single one of you guys. We will catch you guys next time. Bye now.